Well, if you're a Cubs fan, our next guest needs no introduction, but I'll give him one anyway. He's an 8-time All-Star, 8-time Gold Glove winner. I grew up collecting his baseball cards. Please welcome Hall of Famer Andre Dawson.
What do you do to stay in such good shape?
I'm okay for an old fella.
No, you're just being modest.
Yeah, we saw you actually play in a celebrity softball game. And not only did you hit 1 home run, you hit 2 home runs, and one of them almost went out of the entire stadium. They usually move the fence up. See the fence where the softball field is?
Yeah.
Okay, this one goes over. The other one almost went out of the park, and this was on your 63rd birthday?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, that one I crushed. It just found my bat. But, you know, I play in a number of these things, only once a year, though. And that's at the celebrity game at the All-Star game. As you can see, I'll swing at it, but I don't like running.
Well, if you hit it out of the park, you can take your time.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
Congratulations, being the new Cubs ambassador.
Thank you, thank you. It's something I've really looked forward to for a long time. And actually, to see it come to fruition, I didn't think it would ever happen.
Why? Why is that?
Well, I was down in Florida.
Sure.
I was there for 15 years, but with the change in ownership, a lot of times that's the tendency that they have. They'll bring in their own personnel, and that kind of opened the door for me to come back home to Chicago.
Right.
Yeah, I know when you were inducted into the Hall of Fame, you really wanted to go in as a Cub. Baseball decides who goes in at what team, and they chose the Expos, but I know that was important to you. You wanted to be a Cub Hall of Famer.
Yes, I did. You know, they were more interested in the history of the game. I felt Chicago was where I had my biggest impact. It kind of rejuvenated the second half of my career. I can understand playing in Montreal for 10 years, but there was nowhere like Chicago.
Yeah. All right.
We still think of you as a Cubs Hall of Famer here.
Exactly, and that's music to the ears of all the Cubs fans. I got to ask you, how did you get the nickname the Hawk?
That's early childhood. One of my uncles he'd hit me ground balls. I was actually probably in the way practicing with a men's travel team, and he said, I charge ground balls in the infield. You're not supposed to do it that way. You're supposed to wait and let the ball come to you. But I charged it, and one took a bad hop, and I kind of pounced on it, and he said, no, you're not a Hawk. And he said, yeah, well, maybe I'll start calling you Hawk.
Oh, wow.
And it stuck.
And in all of those years, you know, for me, it was a form of not intimidation, but concentration, focus, and I had that intense scowl about me, and people thought I was unapproachable, so that was fine with me.
Yeah.
You like the people think you're unapproachable.
Yes.
Yes, only 5 guys in the history of baseball have more than 400 home runs, have more than 300 stolen bases. You could do it all on the baseball field, but the one thing you couldn't do, and you didn't learn until later in life, was how to swim, and that's why you're here today. Tell us about this journey.
Yeah, I did wait kind of late, didn't I? You know, I was approached at a Make-A-Wish Foundation dinner, and a gentleman said he'd like to introduce me to someone who had a swimming school. They were looking for a local celebrity to be a spokesperson. And I didn't really think that I would be cut out for it because I couldn't swim. But I met with 2 young ladies anyway, and I made a determination, okay, it's something that sounds pretty interesting, what you're doing, but if I'm going to participate, I'll be your spokesperson, and you're going to have to teach me how to swim.
Right. Tell me why you had not learned how to swim in all those years.
Well, you know, you're surrounded by water. People say, well, you should know how to swim all of the water that's around South Florida. Well, I say I get in an airplane. That don't mean I know how to fly.
Right.
But you know, it's just something that never really dawned on me at the time. I ate and slept baseball.
Right.
And it's the only thing I really ever wanted to do, and I just didn't have time to go get out and try to swim.
Wow. Okay, well, let's bring in the co-founder of Baby Otter Swim School and Andre's partner in this movement, Marlene Bloom. Hi, Marlene. It must be pretty cool for you to have such a great partner as Andre.
Phenomenal. He is the best, I tell you, the absolute best. We love him.
Right. I know the program's been named after Andre Dawson now. Why is it so important to get people to learn how to swim and do it at an early age, Marlene?
The drowning statistics are horrendous, and if we can save a child's life, then that's what we need to do. I designed a program because my daughter had no fear of the water, would just walk in, and I'd have to pull her out. She was only 2 years old. I called the Red Cross, the YMCA. Well, she's not 3 yet, so we can't teach her to swim.
Really?
And I said, well, kids are drowning under the age of 3.
Yeah.
So I spent the summer experimenting with my friends' kids and came up with this 5-day program. So in 5 days, private lessons, a half an hour each lesson, they can learn to, if they fall in the water, to turn, kick.
In 5 days you can do that?
In 5 days, yes, ma'am.
And this is a personal story for you too, Val.
It is a personal story for me because I can't swim. Ryan took me out and with some coaches, and I did do a little mini lap.
She did well.
But
this is the beginning.
I was terrified. You know, Andre, don't you laugh at that.
This was part of our Face Your Fears show, and this was the big fear that Val
And you see,
had.
there were 3 big men in that pool, and I still went in with a donut. But you know what? I think, you know, it's one of the things that I wish I had done more of when I was a kid, and then the older I got, it just was never really a priority. I put my kids in swim lessons when they were little at 6 and 9 months and whatnot, but then I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot to learn how to swim, so I probably should go to school.
Well, see, the problem is you shouldn't have started in too deep of a water, because when I started, I was in 4 feet of water. So if I didn't feel right, all I had to do was stand up.
Right. Right.
But I gotta say, Andre, Val had never been nicer to me than that day.
I needed him. I needed him.
One thing that's amazing, and Andre, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, but he's been volunteering for this program for 13 years. He's never taken a dime to do this.
Yeah. That just goes to show how strongly you believe in it, too.
Yeah.
Yes, they've, done a tremendous job, and it was exciting for me to see the babies in the pool. They were it was kind of hectic for them when you first threw them, when you first pulled them out.
Yeah.
But once they were back in the water, then they did as they were instructed, and they made their way back to the sides.
Right. And you guys have a big thing happening in Lombard coming up in March, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Tell us about it.
We are opening up the Baby Otter Andre Dawson Aquatic Center at the Westin in Lombard. Yes.
That's amazing.
And that
Congratulations.
consists of?
That will. All people have to do either call in on our 800-888 SWIM-KID number, or go to our website, which is www.babyotterchicago.com, and they can schedule. And we will schedule them for the 5 days. It's private lessons, and they will learn the Turn, Kick, Reach program. If students already know how to swim or have some kind of ability, we go on further where we can teach them beginning strokes, and we go all the way up to swim team training.
Right. Any age?
Any age. We start from 8 months to senior citizens.
Oh, great.
Sign you up, okay?
Okay, sign me up. You're going to have to pick me up and come with me, too. Thank you, Andre, and thank you, Marlene, so much. For more information on the Baby Otter Andre Dawson Aquatic Center, please go to our website, WindyCityLive.com. All right, come.